Item 12, item A, City Attorney, would you read the ordinance for me, please?
Ordinance number 2015-01 of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, approving a residential plan development known as the Village at Lake Osborne, providing for development standards, suitability conflicts, and an effective date.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second, Commissioner Hermoso. Okay. Mr. Waters?
You guys are moving faster than I expected.
You better just
Come on, will you?
get up to speed, man. Stick with me, kid. Okay.
Just talk.
Well, I'm pulling that up. For the record, William Ward is Community Sustainability Director. You may be familiar with the first project that was brought in by this same development group, which is being built on the northwest corner of Lake Worth Road and Beltwell Road. It's almost completed. It's the Villages of Lake Worth. Just down the street, about a quarter of a mile, is our next project, which is being heard tonight. It was approved by the Planning and Zoning Board unanimously to go forward as a 100-plus unit, 3-story townhouse project, apartment complex. The property runs from Lake Worth Road to 2nd Avenue North, and I will try to bring up a map of it. The one issue that the city planning board did deal with was that the property size did not quite meet the minimum size for residential plan development, but the commission, the planning board and the staff recommended that be waived. I think it's 0.26 of an acre they were short. The applicant is here to answer questions. I can get this to work.
It's the same builder, you said?
Same builder, same developer. The buildings are very similar. During the design review process, they did add some amenities. There's a pool on the west side of the project. We did meet with the property owners of Lago Mare townhouse project, which actually is in the county. And they flipped the project, having the larger buildings for 3 stories on the west side of the property and the lake for the retention area on the east side. And hopefully this will open at some point today.
It's the same quality and type of amenities as the initial project that
There are
was.
fewer 3-bedrooms. These are only 1 and 2 bedroom units versus 1, 2, and 3. There will not be a community house per se, but they can use the one down the street. There'll be a pool, there's some barbecue areas, a little walking trail.
And correct me if I'm remembering, or was it 5 acres?
It's
So
just under 5.
Just 4.75?
Sorry for the poor quality of the survey, but the right-hand side is Lake Worth Road, and the left-hand side is
Second.
2nd Avenue North. To the north, upper above that is the townhouse project, which is in the county. Below it is a retirement complex, which is also in the county. So this was annexed in, I'm not sure how long ago, into the city, but actually so the entrance off Lake Worth Road is here. It will be a gated entrance. There are 3 buildings. There's a lake in the middle. There is a resident-only entrance off of 2nd Avenue North. The developer also has agreed to do some partial paving and widening of 2nd Avenue to provide additional parking for guests along the south side of 2nd Avenue. They worked very collaboratively with staff to come up with a site plan that met most, if not all, the requirements. There is a bit of a parking reduction based on the type of units, which will be market rate workforce housing. And if you have any other questions, I'll try to answer those. And again, the applicant and developer are here to answer questions if you might have them.
Vice Mayor?
These are market rate apartments?
They're market rate workforce housing. This is what market rate in Lake Worth qualifies as workforce housing.
Help me out here. Let's not get into semantics.
Okay,
Is it market rate or not?
it's market rate.
So there's no subsidies, there's
No subsidies.
It's not designed to be Section 8 housing or anything like that?
And it's the same discussion we had with them on the first project. They plan to hold it themselves, manage it themselves, and market it themselves. and there are no subsidies, federal or county or local for it.
Okay, let's talk about the parking on Second Avenue North. I'm a little curious as why there would be parking on the, I guess, the public side of the project and not contained inside the development itself.
Well, parking was a little tight on the project. It has the same parking ratio as the other project, though we felt that in this location, there needed to be some additional avenues for guest parking. So in discussion with the planning board, we devised that it would be appropriate to have some guest parking along Second Avenue to hopefully prevent parking of guests in the adjacent neighborhood. There is a sidewalk being proposed here, so it would be appropriate they could walk in through pedestrian entrance.
I'm a little confused. What are we gaining by this? Are we actually giving them a break on the parking? That's what it looks like to me, if the parking is gonna be public parking. If they're parking in a public space,
Right.
which is what I think I'm hearing you say, so we're giving them some consideration, some relief, if you will.
Well,
on the
under our zoning code, we allow them to count parking that's adjacent to their property to their overall parking count. There is no parking on Second Avenue on the south side now. There will be after this project is finished. It will not be for the exclusive use of the community. It will be available to whomever rides by and wants to park there.
Sure.
More than likely, who wants to visit people in this project will park on Second Avenue North or take advantage of the few guest parking spaces that are actually inside.
How many spaces? Is it diagonal or
It will be
parallel?
parallel parking, and we think we came up with about, I think, 16 or 17.
Okay, and this is a dumb question, but there'll be plenty of room for folks to park safely, and it's not gonna be real tight.
We're gonna require them to do a standard, I think it's 22-foot parking depth for parallel parking. It'll be essentially the same depth as parking spaces downtown.
Thank you.
Are there restrictions to parking? I mean, how many hours you can park there, because you wouldn't want it to open to the public, people parking vehicles there for weeks and
We
then.
have not talked about that. Right now, the public parking, on rights of way in the city are all open. You can park there as long as you want, unless you're downtown, there's a 4-hour limit downtown. If there arose a question about overnight parking or parking that was too long, we could entertain a parking restriction on Second Avenue to limit to 2 hours or 4 hours and similar to other parts of the city.
What else exists over there? I'm trying to think of what else is down Second Avenue North there.
Like I said, there's a retirement place here. This way, going to the south, the northwest, we've approved a project called the Village of Valor, which will be under construction probably about just after the turn of the year. Down here is a landscape company. There's a vacant parcel. Then you get to a manufacturing company, sort of a smaller size. Farther up here, beyond the townhouse, which are quadruplexes, are some residences along a street called Everett, I believe.
Okay.
It's kind of a mix. And then the canal is just right here that divides us from Palm Springs.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. William, how's it going on their other project that they have now? I've seen it's pretty complete, I mean, it's looking pretty good. Did they have any indication of how well it's renting out or pre-renting or anything?
They're here, they may be able to address that, but they are planning to have a opening for their current project and a groundbreaking for this one, probably very soon after the first of the year. We're coordinating with them to do some TCOs on half of the project, which is a temporary completion or temporary occupancy. For half of it, working with the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue to ensure that all the safety measures are met. There seems to be quite a bit of interest in leasing those units. They may be able to elaborate more on that if you wish to hear it.
I don't know, at the commission's pleasure. Also, I know that this project had been given some of the incentives that we were talking about to gain the additional floor. And the requirements were based on the total area increase of the third level times $5 a square foot, which created about $169,000 that they needed to add to the project in the form of certain types of amenities that had benefits not exclusively for the project. So landscaping, school bus stop, you can also show up there where the bus shelter is going in as well, right? All those things which will be helpful for people, different intermodal transportation, that we're trying to get more activity east and west and to justify a more full route even further east. Hopefully these people like to go to the beach.
Come
So,
downtown.
yeah, I noticed in the list there that a barbecue area. Where is the barbecue area of the canopy?
I believe there are around there's one by the pool and then a couple over by the lake.
I think and further, from my opinion only, I don't see the public benefit to those. I see the bus stop and the school bus stop and maybe benefit for Walsall, but that doesn't change the overall, even if you were to remove that from the total, they're still above the requirement. But I wanted to congratulate you guys also on using that incentive to go ahead and create some of these things that I think are important in the public fabric that we have going on, and could be a good example from the first one. I know they did it even on the first one, so I think it's a very good project in those terms. And is the pond or the lake there currently there, or is that part of the drainage?
They're going to have to create that.
That's part of their storm retention
Yes.
system. Okay, and is that going to have some active water treatment in it?
We talked that there'll be a fountain of a sort in it to keep it circulating.
Keep some motion going? Okay, all right. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Very quickly, go back to the parking. Is that area gonna be, will there be additional lighting on the street?
That was not, as I recall, part of the project, and there is a spillage requirement restriction on the lighting that's actually in the project itself. We can look at that and
The only
discuss
reason, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just did, sorry. The only reason I bring it up is because I don't travel Second Avenue north that often at night, but I don't think it's all that well lit.
It's not that well lit, and it is under the phase 2 of the Park of Commerce Infrastructure Improvement Program. If that were to come back to pass in the next 5 or 6 years, that does include lighting along Second Avenue and sidewalks on both sides.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Got a motion and a second. Let me see. Ms. Sharp?
Yep.
Any other cards? That's it.
I'm very pleased about this project. I'm very pleased that it's market value, and I'm very pleased that we had to give up a little bit of incentive. January certainly came fast tonight, and I want to just repeat, we have a Haitian problem, a Mayan problem, a black problem, a graffiti problem, a blight problem, a landscape problem. We have all negatives in the city of Lake Worth, and the only way that we're going to get this right here, this beautiful limb, the only way we're going to get this right here is to build it. And I cannot see how building that on Second Avenue impacts the downtown, my neighborhood associations, the other 17 neighborhood associations at all. So I fully expect this commission to vote 100% for this project. Thank you.
Commissioner McBoyd?
Can you discuss a little bit more, William, the arrangement that was done? I know that we built into the LDRs the community benefits, and that in exchange for some community benefits, we make some adjustments. And the adjustment here was to add a floor, is that correct?
Well, it's a buy right program, and you just turn that letter, just be helpful. Right. By right, without the incentive, you can build 2 floors. To build above the 2nd floor, you have to show or demonstrate an increased investment in your project of $5 a square foot that actually demonstrates a health benefit, and that's been defined rather loosely because providing 3 levels actually is a bigger tax base than for 2. And it's not required by code to put in a pool, or the additional landscaping, or the sound barrier wall, or the barbecue locations, or the bus stops. So the way it's written right now is that we're giving people credit, or developers credit, for whatever they're doing that is above and beyond the minimum requirement of the code. And it's up to them to decide what it is. They provide a Excel spreadsheet or a list of what all they are, and their projected value of those improvements. Now, we have quibbled with a certain number. I think almost every developer, we've actually kicked some things out, or said we don't believe that the value you provided is actually what the value we think is really going to be. And so, but so far, everyone except for Value Place has actually met or exceeded to a great degree the sustainable bonus, and the value credits are paying into our sustainable bonus fund. I think it's almost $14,000, of which probably next year we'll have a little bit more in that money, and then that trust fund, and you will decide, working with us, how you'd like to see that money spent to benefit the community.
And are these, I recognize they're written loosely, are these community benefits intended to benefit within the development itself or also to the community at large?
Both. In the situation that we were in, where we had no commercial, or in this way, this is defined as a commercial project case, it's more than 3 units. We had no investment in the city in 7 years. So building the tax base benefits the whole city. We saw, and this was discussed, I think, among both boards, the advisory boards, HRPB, and Planning and Zoning Board, the Historic Resource Preservation Board, and the City Commission, that encouraging development and making it easy, predictable, precise, and quantifiable was a way to go to get development. And I think as a result, since the passage of the LDRs last August, we have seen almost $150 million of projects come in for review and approval, which is more than the combined amount in 2006 and 2007. So I believe from what we were directed to do for the city in trying to rebuild the city and build a tax base, it has demonstrated that it has been relatively successful.
Vice Mayor?
I just want, if I could clarify and make a statement and ask you to either validate or invalidate my statement regarding community benefit. My understanding of community benefit is, it's a benefit to the community,
Yes.
not to the project itself. In other words, the example that Commissioner's already used earlier about the barbecue pits potentially being counted as towards community benefit. In my mind, that's not a community benefit because not everybody can benefit from that.
Then we should tighten up the definition of it that's in the LDRs and shorten the list of things you can choose from.
Well, I mean, community benefit, it's, you know, okay, just want to throw that out there. I guess we'll take it up at a different.
Yes.
I also wanted to congratulate you on some of the awards that you heard about earlier tonight too. We spent a lot of time talking about the LDRs over the past couple of years, and this particular program was something that we spent a lot of time talking about these definitions. We wanted to make it in a way something that developers and folks coming in would see benefit for them. They wouldn't do this if it wasn't beneficial for them as well as beneficial for the city. And I think this demonstrates, and it has demonstrated already, in what you've told us, that this is a successful, at least, approach. There's tweaking to be done a little bit. And we knew there would be because we threw it out there the first. It's probably one of the first programs like this in that term. There's programs out there, I can tell you folks, that deal with LEED certification and other things that are very difficult and challenging to understand. I can tell you from projects and all that I've worked on. So this has a level of assurity. Anybody doing development in any area has a certain level of risk assessment that they have to analyze. And the better you can make that so they can be clear on what that's going to be, the more you're going to find them willing and to sit down and with William's direction to work with staff to get this done. And so on the first one, here's the second phase, it's 4.71 acres, 5 acres is a breaking line. That's pretty much what we're voting on tonight too. I'm going to support it totally. That's a very small differential for what's going to go on there, and I just think it extends our city out and gets a vital part of the west part of our town to be engaged in our city too. So, thank you.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Just as a quick update, we have 4 other projects that are coming through the pipeline. 2 are townhouse projects, one is a hotel, and the other is a commercial facility. So I don't know whether any of them will actually come to the city commission, but once they're approved, we'll provide a report to you, or it'll be announced in a newsletter or a city manager's report. So things are still working along at a very appreciable rate. So we're very happy with all the support you've given us, especially on the LDR. I think they're working. We've got a lot of really positive feedback, specifically the awards that we've already won.
Commissioner Mercer.
I just wanted to comment on that, thank you very much. And when it comes to us, can it possibly come through the city manager to us? because a lot of times we hear after the fact, and it's hard for us to answer questions if we hear it after the fact. So if it could maybe come to us in some form through City Hall prior to, being put in a newsletter or something. Thank you.
Sometimes we're the last to know, William. And then they're good. Okay. Item 12B, authorized payment